Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into turning those pesky problems into golden opportunities. We'll be exploring Gonzalo Estrada's book, Transform Your Problems into Opportunities.
And you know what's really interesting? Right off the bat, Estrada uses a really cool analogy talking about optical illusions.
Oh, like those images where you can see two different things depending on how you look at it.
Exactly. He's basically saying we can be looking at the same problem, but what we see, what we perceive, depends entirely on our mindset. Like, that's our lens.
Okay, so our mindset shapes how we view the problem. And speaking of mindsets, that's a big thing in chapter 1, right? He talks about fixed versus growth mindsets.
Oh, absolutely. It's fundamental to his whole approach.
Yeah.
So with a fixed mindset, you kind of believe you are who you are, your abilities are set, I'm not a math person, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like, I'm just not creative. Been there.
Right. But then he contrasts that with the growth mindset. And that's where things get really interesting, especially for entrepreneurs. The growth mindset says your abilities can be developed.
It's like instead of hitting a wall, the problem becomes, okay, what can I learn here?
Exactly. It becomes feedback, a chance to adapt and level up.
So it's not just some fluffy, positive thinking, it's strategic, right?
Exactly. It's about actively changing how we view those tough situations.
So how do we actually do that? Because we can't just snap our fingers and suddenly have this amazing growth mindset.
Right. It takes work, but Estrada gives a great example in Chapter 1, the story of Sarah.
Oh yeah, Sarah, who had that business crisis.
Yeah, she's looking at her business thinking, it's over.
Total disaster, right?
But then she has this light bulb moment. What if, instead of a disaster, this is a sign to rethink my entire business model?
Interesting. So it's about reframing, not ignoring the problem.
Yes. It's about strategically shifting how we see those challenges.
And for her, it was huge. What seemed like the end became this push to reach new heights.
And it makes you wonder, how often do we miss those opportunities in our own setbacks? Because we're so focused on the problem itself.
Totally. And you know what else Estrada talks about that I think ties into this? It's embracing failure.
Oh, that's Chapter 4.
Yeah, and he even quotes Edison, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Can you imagine having that on your resume?
10,000 failed inventions.
Right. But seriously, imagine if we all approached those so-called failures like that. Each one, 10,000 lessons learned.
And what often gets overlooked is the data within those failures. When we ask, what happened, why, and how can I adapt, that's where the real growth is.
So we're talking reframing, cultivating a growth mindset, but there's another piece to this puzzle, and that's in Chapter 8, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Ah, yes, the support network. So important, especially for entrepreneurs. You need that.
It's like building your dream team, right? You wouldn't want everyone with the same skills. You want that diversity.
Absolutely. And in this chapter, he talks about surrounding yourself with people who have different skills, different knowledge than you.
Yeah.
It's like having this brain trust, right? Each person bringing something unique. Mentors who've been there, done that.
That's the key shirt, yeah.
Advisors with fresh perspectives, and your peers pushing you, inspiring you.
It's having that sounding board, to bounce ideas, get honest feedback, and celebrate those wins with. Because entrepreneurship, it can be a wild ride, much easier with the right people.
Totally. And you know where those different perspectives are super helpful? When we're talking about limiting beliefs. Estrada dives into that in Chapter 3.
Oh yeah, limiting beliefs, those are sneaky.
They really are. Because they often operate on this subconscious level.
Yeah.
Those voices that say, you're not good enough, or you'll never achieve that.
Always there in the back of your mind.
Exactly. And we don't even realize they're holding us back. We just accept them as facts.
They put this invisible ceiling on us.
Exactly. But Estrada gives techniques for identifying and challenging those beliefs. One that I really like is finding those examples of people who overcome similar obstacles.
Yeah, their stories.
Because it's so easy to think, oh, they're just wired differently, or they had some special advantage.
Right, I could never do that.
But the reality is everyone faces self-doubt. It's about rewiring that internal dialogue. Instead of, I can't, it's, I can handle this, or I'm going to figure this out.
It's like giving yourself permission to believe in yourself. So how do we take all of these concepts, and actually apply them in the real world, out there in the trenches?
Well, Chapter 6 and 7 get really practical. He talks about spotting opportunities in market trends and using technology.
So it's not just about the idea, it's about understanding the market and using the tools available, right?
Yes. He talks about really digging into market data, seeing the patterns, the trends, the gaps.
It's like become a detective.
Yes. connecting the dots to reveal those potential opportunities. And tech plays a huge role.
I bet it does. It's amazing how much it's changed how we do business.
It's incredible. Estrada talks about how technology can help us automate tasks, get insights from data, even connect with people globally.
It's like having this whole toolkit at your fingertips.
Right, and he stresses it's not just about the tools, it's also that mindset shift.
Approaching these challenges with the growth mindset.
Exactly. So we've talked about reframing the growth mindset, building your network, challenging those limiting beliefs, seeing market trends, and using technology.
That's a lot. It's a process, right? We don't have to do it all at once.
Absolutely, it's a journey. Finding what works for you, adapting these principles to your own goals and circumstances.
Yeah, and you know what else really struck me, and I think it ties into this nicely, is chapter 20, where Estrada talks about celebrating success, like actually taking the time to appreciate how far you've come.
Oh, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, always striving for that next goal that we forget to pause and just appreciate the journey, like where we are right now.
You're so right. It's like we're always focused on the finish line and we miss enjoying the run. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I love about this chapter. He really emphasizes acknowledging those wins, both big and small. It's crucial for staying motivated, keeping that momentum.
Totally. Otherwise, it's easy to burn out, right? Like, hey, we hit a milestone, celebrate that.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to be this big external thing, like hitting some crazy revenue goal. Recognizing your own internal growth is important too, that resilience you build going through challenges.
Those are the lessons you can't learn any other way.
You got it. And what's super insightful in this chapter is how he brings in gratitude.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
It can really change everything. When we approach what we're doing with gratitude, it changes how we see the challenges.
We're not so focused on what's going wrong.
Exactly. We start to appreciate those challenges as opportunities to learn and grow.
It's like that whole thing, gratitude turns what we have into enough.
I love that. And it's really cool. As we celebrate those wins and we approach things with gratitude, it creates this positive feedback loop.
It does. It's like this upward spiral, right?
Exactly. More motivation, more resilience, and it keeps us going even when things get tough, because they will.
It keeps us grounded through those ups and downs.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into turning problems into opportunities, is there one key takeaway you would want to leave our listeners with today?
If I had to pick just one, it would be that growth mindset we talked about. That one shift in how we see things can completely change how we deal with challenges, setbacks, even successes.
Because it really is about realizing that you're not defined by those challenges. You can learn and adapt and grow.
And as you're doing that, celebrate those wins, enjoy the journey, and never stop learning.
Well said. To all of you listening, you've got the power to turn those problems into stepping stones. Embrace those challenges, believe in yourself, and never be afraid to explore those opportunities. You've got this.